I read over 300 money investing and finance books and discovered they all say the same 4 things. Well, actually, I forced an AI to read all 300 for me. Say hi, hello, but more on that later. The AI's first lesson from these 300 books is wealthy people don't think like you and me. They see the world through a completely different pair of glasses, and specifically with this. The IRS tax code. My favorite thing to read for fun right after applied calculus and grammar smart. These 5,800 pages are filled with a ridiculously good-looking protagonist, that's you, on a mission. You and I might see the plot of this mission as a way for Uncle Sam to take away our money, but the wealthy see it as a way to save money. You see, out of 5,800 pages, only 30 of them address how to pay taxes, leaving over 99% of the tax code to be about how to legally avoid taxes and get special benefits from the government. And it all starts with these 4 boxes. On the left side, we have the plebeians, the regular W-2 employees and self-employed, people like gig workers, freelancers, the common folk. Most people in the US fall into one of these 2 boxes, and pardon my French, this is also the shittiest place to be. That's because in here, the IRS tax code works against you. Since you make the most of your money with earned income, aka salary, you are taxed at the highest rate possible in the US. On average, you'll pay anywhere from 40 to 60% in taxes on your earned income. This is the average American. Let's call him David and give him a hat. He'll pay around $525,000 in taxes throughout his lifetime. That's a lot of money. But what most people don't think about is how he actually gets that money, which is by exchanging his time for money at a job. On average, 34% of David's lifetime earnings, or about a third of his working life, will be spent on paying taxes. And after the government gets their cut, there isn't much left for David to get a new hat. And look, I get it. Taxes pay for social goods like roads, bridges, public schools, yada yada yada. But what if I said you can actually learn how to legally avoid taxes, aka 99% of this, in just the next few seconds? I think it's on, hold on. Page 3649 that says the tax code is actually very favorable to Americans who are on the right side of the boxes. Americans who build assets, stocks, collectibles, real estate, aka business owners and investors. And yes, while it's true these 2 groups do receive some of their money as earned income, most of their money is from businesses and investments, which are taxed at a much lower rate. If you're a business, you can reduce your taxes by writing stuff off, as long as it's a business expense. Like apparently a swimming pool, breast implants, and my personal favorite, cat food. And then there's also a bunch of these that you can write off. But if you're a plebeian, you only have 3 ways to reduce your taxes, 2 of which requires you to own a house: mortgage interest, property taxes, and charitable donations. And did you know this fact about our favorite lizard person, Mark Zuckerberg, father of Facebook? He's actually a really generous and selfless guy who volunteered to be the lowest paid employee in all of Facebook, who only makes $1 in earned income a year. What a nice guy. That is, if you overlook the millions he gets paid in Facebook equity and stock, and also the fact he does this because it's a lot more favorable tax-wise for both the company and himself. And if you're worried that Zucky Zuck won't have enough money to pay for his buckets of sunscreen and other essential expenses because it's all tied up in his stock, don't be. Because this is a perfect transition into the AI's second lesson. Speaking of which, here's a 30-second recap of how I've read 300 books in less than an hour, and all starts with this guy.
Hello there. My name is Paul.
So Paul is a software engineer from Spain who's really smart. So I asked, can you make an AI that reads hundreds of books and summarizes it all for me?
So yeah, basically we are using
Transparently, it sounded a bit complicated to my uneducated ears, but after a few days, Paul sent me this. Vermont. So I looked up the top 300 money books, force-fed it to the AI, and it started making a really weird sound. So I listened closely. It's saying, if you want to easily understand the stock market news in the morning in just 1 minute, check out Daily Market Brief's 100% free newsletter, link in the description down below. What? Weird. The AI's second lesson reveals how multi-millionaires can pay little to no taxes, and it's completely different from this. It all started back in 1971 when President Richard Nixon said F you to the gold standard, allowing the US to print infinite dollars, which is why we have record inflation today and why this is officially the new $1 bill. And that's where the beauty of borrowing money and debt comes in, since money is infinite now. Unlike us plebeians, the wealthy see debt as an asset instead of a liability, and actually use debt to build their wealth. As I said earlier, the wealthy get most of their income from their assets, like stocks. But unlike earned income or a salary, If their stock value goes up, they won't get taxed unless they actively sell their stock. This is the average American. Let's call him Zark Zuckerberg and give him a fancy hat. He casually buys one Magic Lamp stock worth $1 million. Next year, the stock value triples to $3 million. So in a way, he made $2 million. But he doesn't have to pay taxes on any of that gain since he hasn't sold it yet. But this is how sneaky little Zark can still get and use actual cash money with his stock without selling it. Zark can take a loan from the bank with really low interest rates and put his stock up as collateral, which allows him to spend money freely without paying taxes. And it's with his loan money that he uses to pay for his buckets of sunscreen and to invest in new ventures. So with this completely legal loan strategy, he can lower his tax bill, access cash, continue to benefit from his assets appreciating, and invest to make more money. But here's the good news. You don't have to be a rich millionaire to also take advantage of this loan loophole. If you own a house or a car, you could go to the bank and borrow money against those things. But do realize it's much riskier for you. Because if something happens to the collateral, then the AI's third lesson surprisingly taught me the best way to think about money. I don't know if you remember, but money used to look like this. But now it's all on the internet, digital, making it super abstract, leading you to overspend at Target. Which is why you need to start thinking about your money like your life force. Let me explain. Every time you buy fries from McDonald's, you're trading your life for it. Not because of how delicious a heart attack tastes, but because everything you consume is paid for by your labor. Let's say if you want to buy Mr. Magic Lamp here, #MagicLamp, you would have to spend certain hours of your life in exchange for money, and then exchange that money for him. The hourly rate you get paid is sort of like your life force, except it's a bit different. For example, if this Magic Lamp costs $40,000 and Fred only makes 15 actual dollars an hour, he has to sacrifice 2,666.6 hours of his life to buy this lamp. If Sabrina makes 108 actual dollars an hour, she only has to sacrifice 370 hours of her life. And the AI specified the words actual dollars because it's a completely different thing from your hourly rate. So here's how you can find your actual dollar rate. Make a table with 3 columns, weekly hours in column 1, earnings in column 2, and dollars earned per hour in 3. And fill it out based on your own personal information. Let's say if you make $1,000 a week and you work 40 hours, you divide 1,000 by 40 and you get $25 per hour. But that's not your actual dollars. Now you need to take this weekly earnings and subtract the essential expenses that you have like transportation, food, shelter. Let's say all this costs $600. You want to subtract the 600 from the 1,000 and you need to divide by the same 40 hours that you're going to be working, and then you can get your actual hourly rate of $15. Now, don't be sad if this number is much lower than you originally thought you made. You still have a fantastic personality. But the point of Life Force isn't to get you to worry about every single purchase, it's to make you be more cognizant of your money, especially for big purchases. There has to be a balance. Although combining the concept of time and money together seems like there's only downsides to it, sort of like the combination of barbecue sauce and ice cream, there's actually a way to use time to your advantage with the 8th wonder of the world, compounding. According to Albert Einstein. And what does he know, right? If you combine time with compounding returns, that's where you're making money with your money. And that is what empowers you to turn a little pile of cash into a bigger little pile of cash. Let's say you start off with $300 and you can contribute an additional $300 every single month over the next 30 years to an investment account that's holding the S&P 500. By the end of the 30 years, you would have contributed $108,000. But if you check your investment account, the balance would actually say $687,944. Assuming the S&P 500 had a 10.5% annualized average return, which it has since 1957. So, from just time and compounding, you've nearly made an additional $580,000 from moving your money around by just clicking a button, which you can put up as collateral and take a beautiful loan on for some tax-free monies, if you wanted to. And speaking of investing, you can get a bunch of free stocks if you sign up with these 2 investing apps that I personally use. You can get 13 free stocks if you sign up with Moomoo and 12 free stocks if you sign up with Webull through my links in the description down below. The AI's 4th lesson revealed to me the absolute perfect time to start something, like a business, when to invest, hitting the like button, or just anything in general that requires you to start. Does this sound like you? Before you do something new, you'll do a bunch of research, you'll read a lot about it, you'll take courses and try to absorb all the knowledge you you can. But at the same time, you don't realize that after a certain point of self-education, you reach a point of diminishing returns. You think if you just read one more book, if you just watch one more video, if you just learn one more thing, then you'll be ready. But this is a huge mental barrier that leads many people to fail before they even start. Look, reading and watching videos, super comfortable, but going out there and actually putting your name on the line is difficult and scary. So people tend to do the former. I mean, it gives you the illusion of making progress, but in reality, you still haven't even started. Sure, you'll hit a golden nugget occasionally, learn something new, but the problem with waiting for the perfect time to start is that it doesn't exist. Knowledge is only potential power until you actually put it into action. And the truth of it all is this. Pause for dramatic effect. You will never be fully ready. The best time to start was 2 years ago. The next best time is today, which is why you need to know what stops 96% of people from getting rich so you don't fall for this trap too.